coming off a mini bye week. I know a team meeting really focused on how this offense can improve. What gives you confidence the offense will look a little different going against the Vikings?
I think the thing that gives me confidence is our preparation this week. I know we came in, with the right mindset. I think we had a great week of practice, but now we got to stop talking about it and stop saying we're one play away and this and that third, and just going out there and executing. And we did have a great week of practice. Now we just got to go put it all together on Sunday.
Have you guys worked on blitz pickup at all, and if so, how's that been going?
Yeah, we definitely. I feel like it's kind of been like the common theme for a lot of teams against us this year. So every week, I don't think we did anything different than we have in the past. We have our times when we're focusing on it. We have our periods when we focus on it. We walk through it. We go through it full speed. So we always make sure that we're prepared for that. And I think Jamal and Coach Stout do a really good job of putting us in the right positions for when that does happen.
The sentiment that Jordan shared is that establishing the run will basically fix everything, for lack of a better term there. I mean, it sounds simple, but what goes into establishing the run?
Definitely puts a smile on your face when you're when the leaders on the offensive line is saying that and preaching that. What goes into establishing the run? One, for me, it's making sure that I'm detailed. I'm where I need to be. My eyes are in the right spot. My shoulders are square, and make people miss and get yards up the contact, and then dominating up front. I think that's like the focal point. We get lost in how many talented individuals we have on this team, and a big reason why this franchise has been so successful over the last couple of years is because the offensive line has been really dominant. And that's not saying they haven't been dominant, but if you want to, I came in and kind of said, what better way to get things rolling than banking on what we know best and what we do best and what we have. And those guys over there, I said it before, we're not allowed to bet, but I'll put a lot on the line and put it on those guys over there in that corner. So continuing trusting them and making plays when it has to be, when it's time to make plays.
One of the things that Lane had discussed after the game on Thursday was perhaps trying to attack the perimeter a little bit more frequently in the run game. And if you look at the numbers, inside the tackles versus outside the tackles, it looks like you've been a little bit more efficient outside the tackles. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't really get caught up into the numbers. I know the numbers probably say that right now, but I've been playing football for 8 years, longer than that, and I think each year a run, this type of scheme, I've been more successful than not. Just how the season works, how teams are playing. I pride myself on being a versatile back and being able to run in any scheme, and I think our line is able to do that. So whatever way it takes, that might be the way we get things rolling. But you got to be versatile in that, and we were like that last year, and I feel like we're going to get back to that this year.
Jordan Mailata was pretty passionate this week. The film, he said it didn't look like the team was as focused as he'd liked them to be against the Giants. He preached everyone doing their job. As a leader and a star on this team, is that hard at times to try not to fix everything and just focus on yourself?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, my main focus for this week. Always be a leader and focus on team, but sometimes you just got to pour back into yourself, and it's a lot easier to lead and a lot easier to get guys excited when you're breaking long touchdown runs or you're making plays. And we always say execution fuels emotion. So going back to just focus on what you can control what you control, and handle your job, dominate your box. And if we all dominate our box, what type of talent we have on this team, the rest will take care of itself.
Do you still feel like this can be a run-first team? I know you guys are talking about finding your identity. Do you still feel like this season it can be that?
Yeah. I do. I know it can be. I think it's just you got to win games by winning football games. Some games is going to look like we're a run-first team. Some games it might be airing it out. You just got to get back to the conversation of what is winning football supposed to look like. It's supposed to look like the Eagles have more points than the other team at the end. And I feel like we lost sight of that. The city lost sight of that, and we got to get back to that because, we had a lot of things to fix, but I felt better being 4-0 rather than losing 2 in a row. And I think a lot of guys would, agree with that statement right there. So, yes, running, passing, we have so many talented people just finding ways to win football games and coming out on top. And whatever we need to work on, we'll figure it out on that next Monday and Tuesday.
Why do you feel like you guys lost sight of that? Because that was such a strong message at first this season.
I think, sometimes you don't recognize it until you lose 2 in a row. And I think that's just the reality of it. And, sometimes you can get caught up in things that don't matter. And, speaking to myself too, I'm part of that. And that's a tough part about this job. There's a human element of it to it. And, you get focused and lost in stuff that doesn't matter. And, I feel like as a team, we just got to get back to focusing on things that matter, and that's winning football and going back to our standard and going back to tough detail and together. And, that's been the theme, been the message Nick's been preaching this week too, and we got to continue buying into that.
It's our first time speaking to you since the Penn State coaching change. What was your reaction to that? And as probably the most prominent Penn State guy in the league, what do you want to see in the next coach?
I'm not going to speak too much on that. For me, seeing Coach Franklin get fired, it definitely hurts. That's the guy that gave me my shot. He's a big reason why Penn State. I know the season's not going the way we would like right now, but a game before the national championship, the year before, Big Ten championships. At one point, Penn State wasn't spoken about how it's been spoken about in the last couple of years. I just got nothing but respect for Coach Franklin, not just as a coach, but as a man. I don't really use the word father figure because my father was in my life. But whatever terms underneath that, he definitely played a big part of my life and the influence of my life, and him and his family. So that's really, the furthest I'm gonna talk about it. More of just, worried about the family and worried about him. Obviously, yes, he's making a lot of money, of course, but he put a lot of, of himself into that program over there, and it sucked to see him go.